Welcome back to the Pick Six Podcast Show here on CBS Sports HQ. Tom Brady, pretty famous guy. Spent 20 years in New England. Now he's in Tampa Bay. You don't need me to read off every single one of these freaking accomplishments. He's Tom Brady. He won the Super Bowl six times, MVP 3 times, went to the Pro Bowl a bunch, has a ton of passing yards and touchdowns. He's Tom freaking Brady. You know what he did. Let's get to the show and talk some Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got to give them a grade for this offseason. I'm guessing we'll all fail them because they signed, again, Tom Brady. What would you give them for a grade, B-Mac? And at the same time, would you go over or under 9 wins for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I mean, just signing Tom Brady alone gets you a B+ in my book. But then you signed Tom Brady, you didn't overpay for his services. Then you brought back quality guys like Shaq Barrett on a franchise tag. You brought back Sue. You gave JPP an extension, all key members from that defensive year ago, and I believe they will be better. So instantly for me, that's an A, easy A for me. Not to mention going to get a guy that still can play top level football in Tom Brady. And I go over when you look at their win the over under when it comes to their total of wins this upcoming season. The reason why is Tom Brady. This is a team that won 7 ball games and they were a turnover machine offensively and they could not kick field goals. If you take away some of the turnovers and you make some of the field goals, there's a good chance the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could have snuck into the playoffs. So now if you get more consistency from the kicking game and the quarterback play along with the defense that I talked about already, yes, this team will go over that win-loss mark.
Yep, I gave him an A, and I gave him an A for 2 reasons, Tom and Brady. That's who they signed. The Buccaneers could have signed Peyton Barber to Christian McCaffrey's contract and signed Tom Brady. They're still getting an A because they got Tom Brady. That's how important he is to this franchise. They're moving on from Jameis Winston. Peyton Barber has since moved on. They didn't give him that C-Mac deal. And in terms of the over-under, Brinson, I'm going right on the number of 9. They won 7 games last year with Jameis throwing 30 interceptions. I think Tom Brady's worth 2 more wins. I think the defense is going to be better. I want to see what they do in the draft because that will determine whether they get over those 9 wins. If they're able to get an offensive tackle at 14, get a slot receiver or a running back in the 2nd round, and then the other position, slot receiver, running back in round 3, that's a 10-win team, and I think they're going to be a scary proposition for the Saints. But right now, I'll go A and 9 wins.
Yeah, Ryan mentioned the defense, and no, Tom Brady aside, we don't need to rehash that. Obviously, he's an upgrade over Jameis Winston, but I gave them an A, and I went over because I love what they did defensively. And this was a defense a year ago. Ryan said, he thinks the defense will be better. I'm not sure how much better they can actually get. They went from 32nd in DVOA to 5th in 1 season under Todd Bowles. You look at the 3 players they're bringing back in JPP, Sue, and Shaq Barrett. That's 30 sacks right there from last season. So I think they did a really good job of retaining their guys up front. And I think after the draft, once they fill the void at offensive tackle, which I think we all assume is going to happen in the 1st round, it's going to be really hard to look at this Bucs team and figure out where their real weakness is, unless Tom Brady just can't hold up because suddenly he falls off the cliff at the age of 43. But I don't think anyone thinks that's going to happen during the upcoming season. And look, B-Mac mentioned the fact that this team won 7 games a year ago with a turnover machine. I mean, Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions, 7 of which went for a touchdown the other way, and this Bucs team still finished with a positive point differential. This was a very good football team that had a very turnover-prone quarterback. And now you had Tom Brady, a quarterback who I don't believe has thrown 30 interceptions over the past 4 seasons, maybe 3. I think it's 4. Look, I think that's worth more than Ryan said 2 wins. I think it's worth 3 or 4 wins. So I have them going over, and I feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, I'll give him an A for me too. I mean, this is a team that went out and signed Tom Brady. They stole Tom Brady from the Patriots, and they didn't let the Chargers or anybody else come in and get him. I think it's a team that can challenge for that division title already and can make it deep run to the playoffs. Now, Tom Brady's got to be Tom Brady, but why would we think he's suddenly going to fall apart? I think he'll be motivated by a new challenge, and Bruce Arians will be motivated to incorporate him into the offense. I think they'll get things going. As far as the win total, I'm not the kind of fool that would predict exactly 9 wins because that's idiotic. Why would you pick 9 wins? You could have 1 through 8 or 10 through 16 or just take exactly 9. Sure, that seems like the smart move. Be like taking the Raiders to win exactly 12 games 4 years ago. What kind of lunatic would do that? Anyway, I'll take the over there. The Buccaneers also have, as Ryan mentioned, draft concerns. What do you think, Ryan? Who should they target here in that 14th overall pick? Who would be a good person to come away with at 14?
Offensive tackle has to be in need at 14, unless we just talked about C.J. Henderson at the beginning of the show. Teams trade up for him. Teams trade up for quarterbacks. Maybe some of these guys get pushed down like a Jerry Jeudy. And if Jerry Judy's there, you have a conversation to have. But I like Andrew Thomas, the left tackle out of Georgia. Began his career as a right tackle, so he can play either side. There is no one listed on the depth chart at right tackle right now for the Bucs, so that's clearly a need. But if Judy's sitting there, Tom Brady might want to have a talk with Bruce Arians, and then they can circle back in round 2 and get Andre Thomas's line mate on the other side, the right tackle there, that big guy, 350 pounds, Isaiah Wilson, who plays right tackle. So there are options there on the Georgia offensive line if they so choose, but they have to get a wide receiver at some point. But obviously, job number 1 is protect the 43-year-old Tom Brady and do that with Andrew Thomas or maybe his line mate, Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah, it's interesting because, we don't think about the Buccaneers like you picture their depth chart in your head. You certainly don't think wide receiver. But, I mean, look, you add more firepower to a Tom Brady-led offense and you can score more points. The Arizona Cardinals GM Steve Keim pointed out on Wednesday that if there's a wide receiver they have a really high mark on when they're picking in this draft, they might take someone too, even though they just traded for DeAndre Hopkins, have Christian Kirk, have Andy Isabella, Hakeem Butler, and Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, hey, look, you can't have too many wide receivers in the NFL these days, not with the way that you got to pass more than 60% of the time. All right, we talked a little bit about the 2000 NFL draft there. Let's talk about the greatest draft of the millennium, which we'll do coming up after the break here on the CBS Sports HQ, here on the Pick Six Podcast on CBS Sports HQ.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.